All right, how's everybody doing? Today's topic, Fomapan 100. What can I say about this stuff? It is the greatest thing since sliced bread for the home developing black and white film photographer. That is no exaggeration. I shoot more of this film than any other emulsion. It is my standard go-to. It's my bargain film. It's not just a bargain film. It's because you're not compromising. It's inexpensive, but you are not compromising quality when you buy this film. This has excellent grain structure, great tonality, great contrast. It works with a variety of developers, and you're not sacrificing anything when you buy this stuff. So it is absolutely by far and away the best product that Fomafilm makes. I don't think there's any question about that. And it is just fantastic. So I'm going to give you some, describe the way that I develop it and expose it. That may or may not work for you. I live in a very sunny place. My developing style is based on just an old plastic Patterson tank with normal agitation. Maybe you develop differently. Maybe your lighting conditions are different, but this is what works for me. So take it for what it's worth. But if you're getting into black and white developing at home, you owe it to yourself to try Fomapan. If not on these developer combinations, then certainly something else. Seek advice elsewhere from other people who use this stuff, because it's just fantastic and it's very flexible and it works with a lot of different developers. So these are the three developers that I use: are Rodinal, Perceptol, and Microfin. Rodinal just gives a nice old-fashioned high cutant sort of grainy look to when it develops. Perceptol is the developer made by Ilford specifically for pull processing. Microfin is Ilford's developer made specifically for push processing. Although, honestly, I get very similar results in all three of these developers. In theory, if I'm shooting and I want a more high contrast look, I should be using Microfin. But frankly, or if I wanted a lower contrast look, I should be using Perceptol. But honestly, the results I'm getting with these times here at these exposure indices are very similar. They're really, really similar. It's hard to tell the difference, frankly. So I'm using Rodinal with a 1 to 49 or 1 plus 49 dilution for 9 minutes at 20 degrees Celsius. Perceptol, I dilute 1 plus 3. My developing time is 15 minutes at 20 degrees Celsius. Microfin 1 plus 3. There's 1 part developer plus 3 parts water, such that the developer is 20. The working solution is 25% Microfin, 75% water. That's what I mean here. 14 minutes at 20 degrees Celsius. And these all work wonderfully for me. I generally expose at an exposure index of 80 or 64-ish. Is where I tend to in my experience, Foma 100, the correct box speed is probably 80 or 64, I think, somewhere in that neighborhood. For example, if I'm shooting outdoors on a sunny day with an unmetered camera, which I frequently do, my sunny 16 for these development times in this film is 1/60th at f/16. That's my rule of thumb for sunny 16 for these development times for Fomapan 100. So that gives you an idea of the exposure index and the results that I'm getting. And this is all wonderful contrast. Fomapan is more contrasty than, say, Ilford FP4, which is my other medium speed film that I tend to like. I really do like Ilford FP4, but for different things. Generally, FP4, I'll pull it back to exposure index of 50 if I'm developing in Perceptol, or push it to exposure index 200 if I'm developing in Microfin. And I would say the contrast level versus Fomapan in all of these combinations, which are roughly equivalent, is pretty close to FP4 pushed 1 stop or pushed to 200 and developed in Microfin. And I'm getting contrast results that are roughly similar with that. So yeah, this is certainly higher contrast than FP4, but I can still. I'm not blowing out highlights or blocking up the shadows on a sunny day. I may be stretching it to its. I wouldn't say stretching it to its limits. It's got a little bit of flexibility even on a sunny day. And if I shoot in the shadows, there's plenty of contrast there as well. You don't get a muddy, flat look in the shadows. For example, if I were shooting FP4, developing in Perceptol, an exposure index of 50, I would not be shooting in the shadows. or else I would get sort of a flat, dull result, as opposed to the Foma 100, which is still going to give me a nice amount of contrast in shady conditions. I generally do not put, you know what, before I get onto that, let me mention a word about developing time and temperatures. So if you're just getting into developing your own black and white, you should know that these times and temperatures, the times are gauged for temperatures of 20 degrees Celsius. But in case you don't know, I just want to mention for all those just getting into black and white developing, you don't have to obsess over your temperature, keeping your temperatures to exactly 20 degrees Celsius if you get yourself one of these. This is Ilford's Film Development Time Temperature Compensation Chart. It's a downloadable PDF. I will link to it down below. Basically, you've got your development time at 20 degrees Celsius here in this shaded column, and then you can look in these other columns ranging from 18 to 27 degrees Celsius and compensate your developing time depending upon the actual temperature of your working solution. This is an indispensable tool for developing at home in black and white, because unlike color, you don't have to obsess over precision temperature of your chemicals as long as it's in the ballpark. And here's the ballpark, and here is the compensation times within this ballpark. Get yourself this. I'll link to it down below. It's a downloadable PDF. So as I was saying, I'm getting roughly similar results in terms of contrast with all of these combinations. That mean the look. I strain to see the difference between any of these three. It's really nice. I mean, it's just a nice consistent look. Does this mean that these are the three best developers for Fomapan 100? No, it does not. What it means is that Foma 100 is extremely flexible and works with a variety of developers. In fact, I'm sure there are plenty of people watching this video who love Fomapan and use it in their own way and in their own style and with their own favorite developer and temperature and time combinations. Leave a note, leave a comment. What's your best way to shoot Fomapan? What do you find the correct exposure index is for your shooting conditions? What's your favorite developer? Where do you get the best results? Drop a comment. Let me know, because just because these are my three developers that I use, I mean, this is going to work well with D76. I'm sure it's going to work well with any of the major popular developers. I think this is just an amazingly flexible film. I cannot speak highly of it enough. One thing it does not do particularly well, in my opinion, is push. I mean, generally, I'm giving it a slight pull from box when I develop it, at quote normal speed anyway. In terms of pushing, I do not recommend it. Certainly not not in anything other than truly dull conditions. So I have push processed Foma 100 successfully in the past, back when I lived in Virginia, because in Virginia we have these things called cloudy overcast days, which we do not have where I currently live. Where I currently live, if it's cloudy, it's raining, and when it stops raining, it's sunny again within 15 minutes. So you don't get these heavily cloudy, dreary overcast days. Back when I lived in a place that did, I have successfully pushed Fomapan to an exposure index of 200, developed in microfilm 1 plus 3 dilution for 18 minutes at 20 degrees Celsius. Again, recommend that for heavily overcast days only. I tried this here in Israel, where I'm currently living, a year or two ago, and the results were almost unusable. Some of the, like half the exposures on the, and it was sort of a cloudy day. It was sort of, what passed for a cloudy day over here in the Eastern Mediterranean. But it was too contrasty. The shadows were blocked up, and it did not work out well for me. So one-stop push, it is possible if you live in a truly dreary, cloudy, foggy, heavily overcast conditions. Then yeah, this can work. Microfilm 1 plus 3, 18 minutes, 20 degrees Celsius. Other than that, but anything other than heavily overcast, I would not recommend it. So that is my 2 cents worth on Fomapan 100. My personal go-to, and I highly recommend that you try it out if you haven't. So drop a comment, leave your questions if you're new to developing at home, or leave your comments and suggestions if you do develop at home and you like Fomapan, and tell us what gives you your best results. I hope you have found this video informative or amusing or a combination thereof, and if so, please do like and subscribe and check out the links below. Take care now. Bye-bye.